What makes some successful people more successful than the rest of the pack? I have studied success for more than 40 years, and it's really interesting in terms of these simple habits that separate the top 20% salespeople from everybody else. Now, they're not difficult to learn. They're not difficult to adapt. So I want to share 8 tips that make a difference in terms of what the habits are of top salespeople. Number 1, active listening. They're really good at paying attention and having their ears wide open to listen to what the prospect or client is saying to them. Jot this down. The word listen, L-I-S-T-E-N, and the word silent, S-I-L-E-N-T. Easy words, right? 6 letters. Both words have the same 6 letters. They're just rearranged. So what? We cannot listen unless we're silent. The problem I see with many of the bottom 80% of salespeople is they just talk and talk and talk, and when the prospect or the client says something, they kind of listen, but they're not really actively listening. Don't do that. Really pay attention. Now, these top salespeople will not only listen, but they'll pause and they'll say to the prospect or client, tell me more about that. Or how do you mean that? When you say this, how do you mean it? Can you give me an example? So they constantly pay attention. They're asking the right questions. They know how to probe and how to dig deeper. Why? Because they want to get a total picture of where the prospect or client is right now. Let's just call clients going forward. The heck with prospects. Well, you can plug in whatever you want to use there. So again, active listening is number 1 and really paying attention. Number 2, they are thoroughly prepared. They have done their investigation, what we like to call is CSI research. When you think of the movie CSI, they're constantly doing research and investigating and looking at all the information they need. Well, that's what top salespeople do also. They research everything they can about their client. What are the challenges? What's their industry? What are the opportunities? Now, a friend of mine by the name of Shep Hyken has this wonderful AI program that I've recommended to a lot of my friends. You can Google it on your own, but it gives you extensive research. Not only that, it will also share information on, let's say a particular person you're looking for and you want to learn more about them. Not only will it give you the details on their history and their background, which you can find on LinkedIn, of course, it will also share how they learn. Are they visual learners? Are they kinesthetic? Are they auditory? How do they learn? And what's the most effective way to talk with them? What do I mean by that? What I've learned in my 25 plus years of sales is my presentation to an engineer mind is very different from someone who just want to cut to the chase, give me the factoids, give me the juice, give me the sizzle, and let's wrap this meeting up. Engineers and people who think like that want all the details. Now, I used to think the person was a pain in the butt, right? Oh my gosh, they want so many details, but that's good. They want to have a thorough understanding. So when you understand that and you can see that personality and do the research and learn what the personality is, you go in prepared. You know that if you're talking with an engineer type, you're going to have full details, answer all the questions they have, pause, take your time, because the last thing they want to see is a salesperson coming in and saying, hey, good morning, how are you? How's the family? How's the weekend? They do care about that, but not that much, especially in this first meeting or the first few meetings. So you've got to go in and be completely prepared with a list of questions, with answers to any objections they have. And with those answers, you really should rehearse. Rehearse live with a friend. Rehearse live on video So no matter what objection or question you get, you are thoroughly prepared. So that was number 2, thoroughly prepared. Number 3 is the top salespeople are constantly prospecting. And I want to give you a twist on that. Many years ago, when I was new to sales or newer to sales, I loved cold calling. I love the adventure of getting on the phone and trying to get somebody to listen to me and hear my pitch and try to set up an appointment. And my coach, Mark Magnaca, sat with me and said, I have a couple ideas for you. You made a list of your top 20% of your clients, and they generate 80% of your business. Why don't you ask them if they can give you a personal introduction to somebody else in your territory? At the time, I covered all of New England. And these people know each other from training classes or history or college or whatever. So I thought, well, that's a pretty brilliant idea. Instead of me cold calling, let me ask my top 20% if they could introduce me to somebody else they know in the New England region. Do you know I never prospected, cold called again? I didn't need to. My top 20% were raving fans of mine. They believed in me. They trusted me. They know that I always added value, that I was reliable, and they wanted to introduce me to their colleagues and friends who are also in the business of financial advising. Over the next 5 years, my sales were over $1 billion because I helped my clients bring in all this new revenue to help their clients grow their retirement funds. Fascinating. So as far as consistently prospecting, I'd rather use the word or the term consistently asking for personal introductions to people they know. Because when you think of your top 20%, aren't these the people you really like? You really resonate with? They respect you, you respect them. You've got a mutual, wonderful bond. That's who I really wanted to do business with. Not the rep who's just constantly angry and screaming at his sales assistants and negative to be around. I didn't want them. Let somebody else, like my competitors, take care of them. So know who you want to be introduced to and know which advisors or which clients you want to ask for introductions. It's really that simple. Secondly, or the fourth list is relationship building. They are really good about knowing their client, knowing how they learn, who their family is. I would take a vested interest in finding out about their significant other, their children, where they went to college, if they went to college, favorite vacation spots, favorite restaurants. Why? Because when they had a big birthday coming up, I would call and say, Luigi, I know this is your favorite restaurant. I'm going to be in town next week. Why don't we get together and celebrate your birthday? Let's bring, Susie, Billy, Paul, and Christopher to celebrate your birthday. Dinner's on me, my treat. So some of my clients have asked, well, wait a minute. How do you know when their birthday is? What do you think the answer is? Ask. Simply ask. So for my top 20%, I knew their birthdays. I knew their anniversaries, if they were married. I knew all the details, where their kids went to college, where they were going on vacation, all those little things. Now, granted, I didn't sit down with them in the first meeting and say, would you answer these 25 questions so I know everything about you? Because what would happen? They'd be like, Neil, come on. This is not an interrogation. Over time, if we were golfing or at dinner or meeting in the morning for a cup of coffee to brainstorm about business ideas, I would learn something new. I'd make a note, jot it down. I'd put it in their profile. So I had a list of 25 things that I knew about every single client in my top 20%. So now these days with Salesforce and all these other programs, it's really easy to keep track of, and you've got it at your fingertips in your phone. I actually had a 3-ring binder back in the day, but we don't need to do that anymore. It's much easier. So I really focused on the relationship. There was one guy I called. His name was Dino, and I called one morning and said, Dino, you must be so excited. This was a Tuesday morning. And he said, Neil, why? I said, Friday is your 25th wedding anniversary. You have got to be so excited. What are you going to do? What are you and your wife doing? And there was a pause. There was silence. He said, oh my God, I completely forgot about my wedding anniversary. Thank you so much. You saved me so much grief. But that's all about relationship building. I genuinely cared about my clients, and I only did business with the people I really liked. So, like I said earlier, the people who were negative and nasty and mean-spirited, pessimistic, those weren't my peeps. You got to find your peeps. Who do you really want to hang out with? And that's how you build that relationship. So, yes, I'd take them golfing, and we'd go to dinner, and all these things that really built that relationship. The relationship's really important because when things go south in business, in the market, in the economy, your clients will not fire you if you've been taking good care of them. They will get rid of other people and not do business with them anymore. And if you have a really strong relationship, you're good. You'll be viewed as more of a consultant because, remember, go back to one, active listening and asking questions, right? So that makes a big difference. Number 5 is they are really good at problem solving because, remember, they've asked questions. They've learned. They also pay attention to their other top clients, and they study those success stories that the clients share. So when it comes to problem solving, they have experience from other people who have been in that similar situation as this client. So they could give any problem. For example, I asked one of my top clients, what's your plan over the next year? If we were to look forward, blast forward a year from now, and if we were sitting here looking back at the past 12 months, what would have to happen for you to feel really good about our relationship? And she said, Neil, if I could get 10 more clients by asking for referrals, that would be wonderful. Because I want to build my book of business with people I really enjoy being with. So when it comes back to problem solving, she didn't know how to ask. She didn't want to impose. She didn't want to put pressure on a really good client. So I worked with her on the best ways to ask for referrals. And let's blast forward 1 year. She had 15 new clients, which brought in close to $25 million in assets under management. So she was thrilled, right? So I always took the role as a problem solver / consultant. And that's how my clients looked at me. Not as a sales guy pushing product like so many of them do. I acted as a consultant and as a business partner to help them grow their business and reach their goals. So that was a big one. Number 7 is continuous learning. They are constantly learning more about the industry, about personality types, about presentation skills. How can they get better at what they do? So we are constant learners. The people I see who fail are the ones who say, well, I pretty much know it all. You know, I can think of a client who was in a Zoom class that I was teaching, and he said, you know, I probably won't learn much from this Zoom class. I've been in sales for 10 years. I pretty much know it all. And I asked, well, have you ever heard about consultative selling? He said, no, I don't really do that stuff, whatever it is, because I've been learning to just show up, push a product, and move on. When we talked about consultative selling, asking questions, probing, slowing the process down, and finding out what the client really needs, he was fired up. He said, I felt I knew everything after 10 years. He said, I'm going to start using this. And 2 weeks later, he called and he said, Neil, I just closed a $50,000 deal with a prospect I've called on for 5 years and got $0. He said, all I did was ask questions about her business, some of the challenges, some of the opportunities. And I knew of other clients who had those challenges. So I had answers for her. And all of a sudden, I could feel the trust build And no longer was I pushing products. I was providing solutions to her needs. Game changer. And finally, storytelling and value-based ideas. If you can learn, and I know you can if you want to, if you can learn how to really share a 1 to 2 minute story that's relevant to what your client's talking about, it puts you in a wonderful position. Now, I say 1 to 2 minutes. Do some stories go 3 or 4? Yes, and it's not a 15-minute story. That's way too long. So what I have, and I'll gladly share this with you, I have a sheet that's laminated so that it won't get ruined, of 25 stories. And with it, so for example, there's one that says Denver flight. I can go into a 3-minute story about my Denver flight and what the pilot did to provide 3 things: LCD, leadership, confidence, and direction. So I just put this sheet when I'm giving keynote presentations on the desk in front of me or a little table with my water, and I can just glance down and go from one story to another, and it keeps the audience engaged. Do you have to work on it? Yes, you do have to work on it. And here's what I have found. The more you rehearse on video like this, set up your phone, the tripod, and rehearse your stories, then you can review it and say, how are my hands? How are my gestures? How's my tone? How's my facial expression? How's my pause? All those things you can analyze and improve your skills. So yes, like any other professional athletes you know, as corporate athletes, we have also got to rehearse and refine our skills. And that again is one of the top habits of the best salespeople in the world. So we're constantly improving. We are students of the sport because we love what we do. And we always want to be the best of the best. So I hope that's helpful. If you have any questions, always feel welcome to reach out to me. Message me here on YouTube or LinkedIn or anything, or email me. Whatever I can do to help you grow your business, this is what I love doing. This is why I've coached and trained more than 50,000 salespeople. I'm passionate about it. I love it. And here's what I love the most. Hearing the success stories from clients who have reached back and said, I tried what you said, what you suggested, and these are the results. This is what happened. And that's really fun for me. So thanks so much for listening. And please share comments. And if you feel comfortable, share this with any of your friends and colleagues. Have a good day.